Hey guys, welcome back to Horse2 Cinema, and today I'm going to be reviewing Red Rocket. This is the new movie from Sean Baker that came out in the US this past winter, and in Ireland it's just now being released. Sean Baker is a filmmaker that I've wanted to watch for a while. I actually have not seen any of his other movies, not The Florida Project or Tangerine. But I really like from what I know about him, I really like his approach to, depicting small towns in the US and kind of the darkness that's there, but also the humanity. And from what I've seen, he really just kind of excels at taking, that kind of rusty, grimy look of abandoned, overlooked parts of the US and making them very interesting, morally complex, and just cinematic in general. Really beautiful looking. And in this movie, he's taking on a particularly dark subject, but with an energy of a very young director like he is. It's a dark, dark story, but there's so much humor in it. The dialogue is really colloquial and easy to connect to. And Sean Baker's editing is something I'm very new to, but oh my god, I love it. I love it. It's very fun and playful. Really, it likes to use crash zooms a lot. So yeah, I'm a big fan of what I've seen so far. I love this movie. So it takes place in, I think it's Texas City, Texas, in about 2016 over the course of a few weeks. And the character Mikey, played by Simon Rex, is a former adult film actor who returns back to his hometown after he's sort of failed in life, and he's trying to rebuild himself by getting back with his estranged wife, but he's not very successful in building up a normal life, as you would come to think of it, because he's not a good person. He's seemingly like 40 years old or something, but he starts a relationship with a girl who is 17, unbeknownst to his wife. And not only that, but he's trying to sort of coax her into being in the porn industry like he used to be. Right off the bat, I'm not a big fan of like the Academy Awards or anything. I think oftentimes they're just far too safe in the films they want to recognize, and they pick what's kind of, again, safe and close to home for them, rather than movies that kind of push the envelope for what films can really be. And Simon Rex is not nominated for Best Actor. I don't think this movie is nominated for anything, but Simon Rex should win Best Actor for this. He is just unbelievable in this film. I think the challenge for both him and Sean Baker is that the character is such a sleazeball. He's so morally irredeemable, but he's the protagonist, so he has to be likable enough, or maybe not likable, but definitely, there needs to be an energy to him, a humor or something, just to get the audience through this experience. Because he's definitely not likable, but oh my god, I just loved his performance. He's so funny, but also, all of the darkness, that Sean Baker wants to convey, it really comes through at the same time. And I don't think I've seen Simon Rex in any other movies before, but I know that he was in 3 of the Scary Movie films, and I honestly, just from what I know about those, it's such perfect casting. You take somebody who does kind of sleazy movies like those in some ways, and make him a character like this. A guy who just oozes shallowness in his obsession with sex. He's incredibly immature for his age. I mean, there's all these decisions he makes throughout the movie. Horrible things that he does, and he takes absolutely no responsibility for any of it. And it's not just Simon Rex, but I think all of the actors in this movie did a really good job. Sean Baker kind of famously likes to cast non-actors, people who don't really have hardly any experience in film before. How I would describe it is that he's kind of like the Billy Bean of directing. Billy Bean, if you don't know, is in the movie Moneyball. He's the Oakland Athletics general manager. Using statistical analytics, he realized that you can get, really good players for not nearly the prices that you would seemingly have to pay for sort of top name players. And I think that's kind of what Sean Baker wants to do. He has worked with actors like Willem Dafoe before, but it's very few and far between. Most people in his movies, have no acting experience. And so naturally they don't cost as much, but I don't think it's a financial reason that he's doing it. I think he genuinely picks people that fit these roles very well, seemingly. He wants them to just kind of act like they would be in real life, but in a more, cinematic, movie sense of it. Brenda Deese, I think that's her name, Dice, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, who plays Lil, the mother of Mikey's wife. She's fantastic. Unfortunately, the actress did pass away very recently, so rest in peace, but she really, she has that vibe of that lovable, kind of trashy, old aunt or grandmother that you know down the street. A little bit off-putting, but so sweet at the same time, and definitely with that knowledge of the wise old lady. Also, Susanna Sun, I think that's her name, who plays Strawberry, the 17-year-old that Simon Rex's character pursues. She's great. She's definitely like a rising star in the making. She has one song in the movie, and her voice is just fantastic. I even really liked Ethan Darbone, who played Lonnie, sort of an old friend of Mikey. He seems like a guy you knew in high school who, you know, whenever you see them again afterwards, your personality just sort of goes back in time and syncs up with how you guys used to interact back then. And these characters are great, but again, I think Mikey, you know, Simon Rex is really the center of it. And that's Sean Baker's biggest challenge, is that Mikey is a really irredeemable, unlikable person, but he has to make him not likable, but there needs to be a humor to it. There definitely, because the whole situation, you know, with him being a porn star, of course there's so many jokes that can be made about that. And of course just, you know, naturally who he is a person, with him being so, you know, juvenile and not willing to take responsibility. The film does a great job of making fun of him as a character. I went to see this with my roommate, and just in general, we were laughing so much. There's really funny, you know, banter between a lot of the side characters. As I mentioned earlier, some of the editing choices, with crash zooms especially, are really, really funny, kind of like Edgar Wright style. And the music, there's hardly any music in this movie. There's no original score. I think Sean Baker generally tries to avoid those, but they use, it's pretty much just one song. It's Bye 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 by NSYNC, and I hate that song, but oh my god, they managed to use it so well. One, they play the actual version at the beginning and end of the movie. It's very fitting for what's going on. And then there's a cover of it, like I mentioned, the actress who plays Strawberry, she does a really, really good cover of it. And I really like that when movies can take, you know, especially a song or just something in general that I hate and make me like it in the context of it. There's also a lot of political commentary in this movie, as I, you know, gather that there is in basically all of Sean Baker's films. It takes place during the 2016 election, and so there's a lot of references to that, some of which I think everyone will understand, and some of which I actually think maybe only Americans or people that you know, pay attention to politics very well will get. But it does it very well because it's never at the center. The main political commentary is the way that these characters exist in the context of this sort of late capitalism, you know, thing where there's this decline of industry in this small town. And maybe that's driven, you know, Simon Rex's character to go do porn or something like that, because there's not much else he can do in general. And for his very immature personality, that just sort of feeds him and sort of makes him go deeper and deeper into this downward spiral. And it all culminates with a really just amazing ending. In the third act, Mikey just gets humiliated over and over again. And I kind of thought that the movie would just sort of end like that, and then he wouldn't get to realize his fantasy, I guess you could say, with this girl that he's, you know, manipulating. But what's tragic is that he seemingly does get to realize that, and not only does he realize that his whole life will be this continued downward spiral that he can never be free of, he's going to drag someone down with him to sort of suffer the same fate. And that ending is juxtaposed, I think, against the same, like, NSYNC song, and it's a really interesting juxtaposition of a pop song with a really fucking dark ending. And one last thing, I don't know if anyone who has reviewed this movie has mentioned this. Maybe, I'm sure there's some, but there's a dog in this movie. The dog's owned by Mikey's wife, I think. And they show the dog on screen a few times. There's a scene early on where the dog's just kind of rolling around and he seems very free. He's kind of the antithesis of what Mikey is. Coming back to his hometown, it's the only place he can go where he can really make anything out of his life. It's his last place of safety, but he's not really free in that same sense. And he kind of is admiring, you know, how animals can just, you know, exist freely. But later in the film, as he starts to do more and more immoral things, we get shots that just sort of hold on the dog's face for a minute. And I just kept thinking of, like, how in, like, The Great Gatsby you have, like, the eyes of Dr. T.J. Eckleburg, like, God sees everything, dog sees everything. But yeah, I love this movie. I think it's a great cautionary tale about a really irredeemable person, but it still manages to be fun at the same time. So I would recommend this to basically anybody. This is a great, great movie. I'm gonna give it 5 stars. Anyway, that's my review. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, you can like it down below and subscribe to the channel. I've got more content coming out soon, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.